Hello everybody, getting ready to do lesson Math 8, Quarter 1, Pacing Guide, Testing Guide, and Quizzes, Tests, and Pacing Guide for Math 8, Quarter 1, Classwork and Homework Sheets. Shows you that as well. And you get a free diagnostic test. That'll take about 25 minutes to do that. You can do that online very easily. Just RSVP to me here at Animated PowerPoint Math Video at alo.com, and I'll put you in my classroom. And let's go into the pacing guide here for Math 8 Quarter 1. So we start the lesson, the course out here with a pretest. And it's a mid-chapter quiz from the previous chapter. Let's see how you do on that, see if you're ready to go. And then the rest of week 1 is 8.1, relations and functions. We got 2 sections on that. And then week 2, we go into 8.2, which is two-step equations. And then 8.3 is using intercepts to graph a line. And we finished week 2 out with that. And then week 3, we go into finding slope of a line, and then slope-intercept form of an equation will be the second part of week 3. And then we finish out week 3 with a mid-chapter quiz that lets me know how well you're doing, lets you know how well you're doing. Then we go into week 4, we go into 8.6, which is writing linear equations. We actually write equations from coordinates, ordered pairs. We go ahead and write equations. And then 8.7 is function notation. That's week 4. And then week 5 is a big week. We have systems of equations. Start out with systems of equations here, part 1, part 2. And then your homework, and we do go over the homework. If there's an issue, we go over the homework with online tutoring. And then 8.9 is graphs of linear inequalities. For part 1, part 2, we graph inequalities. And then week 6, we go to a review and summary of chapter 8 with a lesson, part 1, part 2, review and summary of all we've covered in chapter 8. It's a large chapter. Then there's a homework assignment. Then we go into chapter 8 tests. There's a 2-part test, part 1 and part 2 of chapter 8 test during week 6. And then we go into week 7 up here. We have 9.1 square roots, 9.1 square roots, part 2. And then 9.2 is simplifying square roots is what we have for week 7. And then week 8, we go into Pythagorean theorem, part 1, part 2. And then there's homework, part 1, part 2, which we go over in class. And then week 9, we have real numbers. We go into number theory, number sense, part 1, and then part 2 for 9.4. And then we have a chapter 9 review and summary, classwork homework part 1 of the chapter up to that point. And our testing schedule will be as for the pretest, that'll be the first week. You have a mid-chapter quiz, chapter 7 mid-chapter quiz, part 2 of that quiz as your pretest for this part of the course. And then week 4, we have a chapter 8 mid-chapter quiz, part 1 that you will take. And then week 6, we have a chapter 8 test, part 1, part 2, week 6. And then week 8, we have a chapter 9 mid-chapter quiz during week 8. And then week 9, we have a chapter 9 test, part 1, part 2, 2-part test. And that happens during week 9. That's your quarter 1 Math 8 course, Animated PowerPoint Math Video at alo.com for questions or course materials. Thank you very much.